Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's Monday Night Raw review, where pretty much with these Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown shows, as well as NXT, Dynamite, everything like that, we pretty much just break down everything that their champions do and everything that's important. And we kind of leave out the stuff that doesn't mean anything, that's not going to contribute to any storylines. So, obviously, like and subscribe. We do these every single day. Anytime there's a wrestling show, we're doing reviews right after, and we're trying to get them out as soon as we can. So, really cool show here. Obviously, not something that I would go back and rewatch any day of the week, but let's get straight into it. Started off newly World Heavyweight Champion after defeating Jey Uso at Saturday Night's Main Event. CM Punk opens. He thanks Jey Uso for a hard match at Saturday Night's Main Event, which the crowd booed Jey. Interesting. That tells me that WWE is going to see that and say, hey, let's turn Jey heel. But that's been the plan for months. I've saw that that's been the plan for months, or at least that's what it looks like from the outside. Obviously, nobody knows what's on the inside. But I think that the plan has been to turn Jey heel, and I think that's the plan now, especially with the crowd booing Jey. Whenever Jey did come out in the main event, though, they were obviously all yee and doing their thing. So it's a 50-50 balance there. The crowd still gets to pop for Jey Uso, but at the same time, whenever his name's brought up with a guy like CM Punk, Jey's obviously going to get booed. So, weird, but I'm glad Jey got booed because that means we're going to get a heel Jey, which I think it's better than face Jey. I think really the only face Jey that I really loved was obviously Uso's face Jey in 2020 Jey whenever he was facing heel Roman. But besides that, I don't know what face I would like. But I do want to see him turn heel eventually. We would see CM Punk, so that now there is no Seth Rollins to steal the title with the Money in the Bank briefcase. We know that Punk literally held it for like 5 minutes before Rollins cashed in. As soon as Punk said this, he did the Seth Rollins title belt emote after every time Rollins is cashed in. He's done this thing where he swings around the title, iconic moment at WrestleMania 39, and it's carried on to now. So Punk hits that, which was a cool touch. I loved that. And we would see Becky Lynch come out later in the night as well. Correlation Rollins, Becky, but very cool. I love him hit the title swing. He would say that Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed is someone that he knows is going to be coming after him. Obviously, was weird to mention Bronson Reed. I guess you have to. I guess you really have to. We know Braun Breaker was last with raising that title after laying out Seth Rollins and then using that title on a promo, but it's interesting. I think Braun, eventually we're going to get to where Braun has to win the title, but when do we get there? When is long enough for Punk to have a healthy reign, and how far deep do we get into CM Punk's title reign for him to eventually lose it and it not be a sour taste in our mouth? I don't know how far we get into there, but I think it is going to be a month-long journey we're going to have to go through, but I've seen title changes super quick, and it didn't make me that mad. So I think there's definitely a way that Punk can lose the title early, but it would leave a sour taste in my mouth either way if it's before 4 months. I think that either way it has to be under 4 months because we still got the heat on Braun Breaker right now after turning on Rollins. But especially with what seems to be a Logan Paul addition to the Vision, could come a bit sooner. But that's what something time's going to have to tell. CM Punk would also call AJ Styles, Dominic Mysterio, JD McDonough, Finn Balor, Sheamus, and John Cena as some of the best in the world. So, recognition there. I thought I'd add that. Logan Paul would interrupt, which Punk would say, anyone but you. Punk would tell Logan that he should go face Ilya Dragunov on SmackDown. And I know this was meant to be a joke, but seriously, now with the storyline that Logan's kind of a part of now with Punk and the Vision, I don't want him to go anywhere. But before this, I would have really loved to see him face Ilya Dragunov. I hope this was not on purpose. I hope that it was, or I hope it is on purpose, because I would love to see Logan answer one of these open challenges. That would be super cool. Imagine that match. Logan Paul versus Ilya Dragunov. Man, I'd be excited for that. Let me know down below what y'all think about that. But the Vision would interrupt this segment with Paul and Punk. And the Vision would interrupt, and Paul Heyman would say that Logan Paul isn't near the front of the line. And that made me think, could Jey Uso join the Vision? That was my first guess. And then obviously we had some things after with Paul talking to Jey, which really made me think But I don't know now. But we would then, to end it out, Logan would get out of the ring and try to get out of the mess between Punk and the Vision. And then Braun and Bronson would step up and say, no, you ain't going anywhere. And then they would attack Punk, and Logan would come back to save Punk. And overall, Punk would use a steel chair to fend off the Vision. But all interesting. I love the opening segment here. I think that it is definitely, all right. Not something that I would heavenly praise or anything, but it was really good. Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez, they would take on Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vauquer. The reason I put this in here, we have the women's champ, Stephanie Vauquer, in this match. This was a chance for Roxanne Perez to go back-to-back. Last week, she defeated Nikki Bella, and this was her chance to go back-to-back, which they did end up doing. We would see Stephanie Vauquer get a lot of minutes during this match, which I was very proud of. We would see Nikki Bella, after they lost this match, go up to Vauquer backstage and say that she knows that she can't hang with the younger generation of women. Which, if I'm being honest, do we all remember the Wade Barrett and the Nikki Bella drama that just happened at Clash in Paris? Or Clash at the Castle? Nikki Bella was upset because Wade Barrett said that she couldn't hang with the younger generation. And now Nikki is accepting that herself. Oh, I mean, somebody has to be wrong here. But we all knew it. I'm not going to sit here and say that Nikki Bella can hang with Stephanie Vauquer, Roxanne Perez, and Raquel Rodriguez just because she can't. She can't. And I think these last few matches have definitely proved that. We have seen Nikki Bella face Roxanne Perez, and I think Roxanne has been the person who has carried the match. But that's just because they call her the Prodigy for a reason. She is one of the greatest women's wrestlers right now in the WWE. So, I don't know. I think that was a very odd thing for Nikki to say because, there was drama circulating all over the place in the pro wrestling industry about Nikki Bella and the Wade Barrett drama. So I don't know. But I love Stephanie getting the most minutes here out of Stephanie and Nikki because Nikki does not need to be getting minutes. I feel like she's a filler. Hate to say that. She's one of the greatest women of all time. But she's a filler right now. She's somebody to put somebody over. And that person right now is Roxanne Perez. She's going to be putting Roxanne over, which I'm in love with, honestly. I love that decision to put Roxanne over. Roxanne's really impressed me. I think that she's been showing out. But bad record. We all know the record of Roxanne Perez, and it's not good. But we would end up seeing Roxanne and Raquel pick up the victory with Roxanne Perez pinning Nikki Bella again, which, there's a term in basketball. It's called a free throw merchant or a foul merchant. People like to call it different things. But I feel like Nikki Bella right now is a pin merchant. She's getting pinned every week. Obviously, whenever she did come back, she had a couple of wins here and there. But she's a pin merchant right now. And I'm okay by saying that because, I think that that's the best decision for her. I don't think we should put her in no serious storyline. But I think it's good for her to be a pin merchant. If I'm being fully transparent, I think that's the best thing for her. But, yeah, super cool. Love the match. And I loved how Stephanie looked during this match because she showed out. And we will be seeing Stephanie Vauquer versus Raquel Rodriguez next week. So, we saw Roxanne fall short in the match between Stephanie. But now it's Raquel's turn. So, obviously, Vauquer's going to defend. But, I don't know. That's going to be an interesting match. My picks obviously go into Vauquer, but how will the finish end? Will we get a Nikki Bella, like maybe a Nikki Bella interference, Roxanne Perez interference, which happens every match Raquel's in, but still very cool. We would see CM Punk shown backstage, and it looks like he's trying to call somebody, which this was right after him going out there in the opener. So he's acting like he's going to call somebody and then runs into Jey Uso. Him obviously facing Jey at Saturday Night's Main Event, winning the championship from him, crushing Jey's dreams of becoming champ. And Jey would say that he feels like that he needs to help Punk. He said that whenever he got attacked by the Vision in the opener, Jey said that he felt like that he should have went and helped Punk. Punk was like, it's whatever. But Jey would end up saying that he would help him during his reign. And now that makes me believe that. What we just saw in the main event makes me believe that. But we will dive a lot into that because that's something I really want to get into. While we're here, we'll talk about the Paul Heyman stuff with Jey Uso. Paul would approach Jey Uso backstage before the main event, and he would tell Jey would tell Paul that he doesn't care what anybody thinks about him anymore, that he's just thinking about himself. that he doesn't care what Roman says, he doesn't care what Jimmy says, he doesn't care what anybody says but himself. So that's good. Paul said he liked that. And then we would also see, to end it, Paul would tell Jay that he's always had a good vision, which Jay would stare down Paul whenever he went away, which made me think that Jay would join the Vision, which did push my hot take. But because I said that in a past video and people absolutely flamed me for it over on Instagram. But looks like I might be right. But obviously something we're going to have to tell. We would see probably my favorite moment of the night. Dominic Mysterio would come out and he would say that he's the king of the luchadors. His father, Rey Mysterio, would interrupt him and say that he could not let Dom go out there and disrespect the luchadors, disrespect their legacy of the lucha libre. So, very cool there. Rey would end by saying that he will never let Dominic become the greatest Mysterio of all time if he is around. So, that was cool to see. Will we get another match between Rey and Dominic? Don't know. Was this just for a cheap pop? Don't know. I obviously don't think that Rey should be involved in any major storylines at this current point in time, but it would be cool. Rey would stand tall over Dominic Mysterio with the 619. We do know that Rey Mysterio never won the AAA championship or the Mega Championship, so it would be cool to see him take that title off of Dominic. No, he wouldn't do anything with it, but it would be cool to see him take it off of his son before him disrespecting Lucha Libre, so that would be pretty cool. But I just don't think there's anything that comes out of this, and I'll be the first one to say that. So if you're listening to me and you listen to everything I say, don't take this with a grain of salt, people like to say. So yeah, just do that, because I don't think it's going to lead into anything that you really want to pay attention to. We will see Becky Lynch have the best promo of the night. Don't care what anybody says. She would come out and say that the Vision has lost their mind on turning on Seth Rollins, which was a crazy point. I did want to stop here and talk about this because Becky Lynch, it was on the fence whether or not she was going to agree with the decision to turn on Rollins. We know that they did lose at WrestlePalooza, which I thought would have pushed the narrative of Becky wanting them to turn on Rollins, but I guess not, because Rollins won at Crown Jewel. But at the end of the day, how are you going to get Becky to turn on her in real life husband? I don't know if we could have done that in any possible world, but looks like here she is sticking with Seth. So whenever Seth does come back eventually, whether that's Mania season, right before Mania, she will be sticking with Rollins. But how will she fit right in again? Don't know. That'll be cool to see. I'm excited how they're going to merge her together. Now I feel like at this point in time in WWE, it's rough times right now. They're not doing their best numbers. They're not doing their best shows ever. But I think now is, as a viewer at least, you just got to sit back and let them grind, to be honest. You just got to see what they come up with, because they're coming up with some good stuff. But it's just not, to us, it's not anything important. So it's going to be exciting to see how WWE does their thing with this. She would talk about her count-out decision against Maxine Dupree, talking about how bad the refs were. And to end it, she would walk up the ramp, and the next match was Lyra Valkyria and Bayley versus the Kabuki Warriors, and we would get a stare-down between Asuka and Becky Lynch. That being a match that I would really want to see, but I think now you just got to think of it storyline-wise. I don't think Becky's going to be doing anything dramatically insane storyline-wise until Rollins comes back. So I think she's kind of on hold, but she is a champion. So they might go ahead and push her on doing some big storylines. But if there is something that you would want to put a storyline on pause to, it's putting a pause to the Kairi Sane and Asuka storyline to take full attention into a Becky Lynch and Asuka storyline. You just teased us. So does that mean we get this down the road months later, maybe years later, which I'm not looking forward to? I would like to say months later, but at this point in time, it could be next week. So you never know. But I do hope that this Asuka and Becky Lynch stare down was not coincidental and it was actually something we need to be paying attention to. But I'm excited to see where that leads us. And next up, we have AJ Lee. Technically, I'm right. People have been calling them AJ Lee. So AJ Lee versus JD and Finn. And they would be defending the tag team championship. So we would see Sheamus attack Dominic during this match. Finn would land the coup de grace on JD McDonough, and we would also see AJ AJ would hit the Styles Clash to JD McDonough to pick up the victory. That was, dude, holy cow. That was tongue twisters. Jeez. But yeah, we saw AJ and Dragon defend those titles. I love that decision. Can't lie, did kind of get nervous there for a second. Not that I want Finn and Dragon to or Finn and JD to win those titles back, because we know that they don't do anything with them. And I think that AJ's putting a lot of spotlight on Dragon Lee, which I really love. So this match right here, I'm not going to speak too much on it, but it is good that they defended the titles, which y'all know we speak on anybody who's a champion that does anything because it has to mean something. So yeah, just had to mention it. But great defense by AJ and Dragon. Hopefully they can keep this going. But where does this go between Sheamus and Dominic? Don't know, but that is interesting. I would love to see Sheamus defeat Dominic. I'm going to spend just a second talking about this. Does Sheamus face Dominic at Survivor Series? Does this eliminate the idea of Cena versus Mysterio? People would be mad at that, but I think it's honestly a good idea. This is a banger match. Sheamus and Dominic is a banger match, especially for the IC title. I think that would help feed families. But we would get an Adam Pearce, John Cena tournament announcement where we would get 2 matches announced, one being Rusev versus Damian Priest and Shinsuke Nakamura versus Sheamus. So those 2 matches will happen on next week's episode of Monday Night Raw, and then we'll see Nick Aldis announce the next set 2 of matches for the next week of SmackDown. So that's kind of what we're going to be going for. That's what they're going to be going for, is 2 each week until we eventually get, we're going to have this 8 weeks consecutively. So that's going to be interesting, but pretty cool, I guess. We'll see. We would see in the main event Jey Uso and, retrack. I completely forgot to talk about the matches here. Rusev versus Damian, good. Rusev is going to win. Nakamura versus Sheamus. Sheamus is going to win. Why? Because Rusev is a huge part of Cena's past. U.S. Championship, big rivalry for Cena. Very good rivalry as well. Sheamus obviously being a rivalry of Cena. People wanting the match again. So I think that would be as cool as well. So I think that's awesome. We would also see in the main event, Jey Uso and CM Punk face Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed. Jey would randomly take the spot of Logan Paul, and back where I told y'all guys about Punk looking at his phone, this is where this would come into play of Jey pretty much taking the spot of Logan Paul. So, and we can see why after this. This match would end in a countout. Braun and Bronson would push Punk and Jey from getting in the ring to cause a countout. Nobody won. It was a no contest, but the Browns would beat down Jey and Punk, and we would eventually see Punk come in with a steel chair like the opener and try to fend off the Browns, which they would do, and then we would see Logan Paul step up beside CM Punk to act like he was going to fight with him, and then hit him with the brass knuckles to lay him out. And the most interesting part, Logan would have the brass knuckles, and he would just put them in Paul's face and lay them in his hands and just look at him to end the show. What? You're telling me Logan Paul's joining the Vision? I would have understood Jey, but Logan Paul? Survivor Series is coming up too, and this is a War Games match waiting to happen. Logan Paul, Braun Breaker, and Bronson Reed is going to be a part of a War Games match. And I can see Jey being added to this team as well. This is the heel team, and I love it. Because honestly, Logan looked like a face tonight. On TV, he looked like a face tonight. I know in person, he's getting boozed like crazy. But on TV, he looks like a humble guy, no pun intended. It's looking insane for Logan. I can't lie. It's looking really good. I think that this is the best decision for him right now. Him taking that L at Clash in Paris. Obviously, a little bit of a setback, but it is what it is. It's John Cena. He comes back better than ever, joins the Vision pretty much. But I think his only worry now is how is Braun Breaker going to respond? At first, we saw Paul try to hold him back, but then he was like, I think he's good. So what's this plan by Paul Heyman? But this also goes back to Seth Rollins saying that everything goes through him. Rollins ain't in the group no more. So who makes the decisions? Who does it go through now? Does it go through Braun Breaker? Does it go through Bronson Reed? Does it go through the whole squad? Or is Paul Heyman now the leader? Because that raises an eyebrow. That raises an eyebrow. Who is the leader of this new Vision? Who does the decisions go through? Is that still a narrative? Is the narrative of who makes the decisions, who the decisions go through, is that still something that is in play? And what do we do with that? Who is the leader? It has to be Paul Heyman. He's the one holding the leashes to Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. So it has to be him. But obviously, y'all just let me know down below. But Very, very good main event. Loved it. Did not like the no contest, no. And the match wasn't that good either. But the ending definitely was worth it. I loved every second of this show. Not every second. I'm completely lying, to be honest. I think that every part I mentioned was worth watching. Was good TV time. I think the CM Punk opener was good. I think that the Roxanne and Raquel Nikki Stephanie match was good. I think that Dominic Promo was good. I think the backstage segments was good. I think the tag match was good. But yeah, very solid episode of Monday Night Raw. I don't think that it's an episode that is like top tier, but it is super, super like decent for what we've been getting recently out of these Monday Night Raws. So I just want to let y'all know now that I'm going to go ahead and rate it a 7.5 out of 10. That is a high score for what we've been doing and what we've been rating these recently because, man, y'all all know it's been bad. And we literally skipped out on a week of Monday Night Raw doing these reviews because it was that bad. So it's getting rough. But this right here was super good. Love this episode. Let me know down below what y'all think. But overall, 7.5. High score. I mean, in about 3 months, that's probably the high score we've had. But let me know y'all score down below. Let me know how y'all feel about everything that happened. I want to hear a full dump. And while you're there, if you just drop some hot takes, I'll react to them in the next video that I do. So let me know. And got an interview coming for y'all Wednesday. So stay tuned for that. And I'll see y'all boys in the next one. Deuces.